Hey y'all, chapter 6 continues. Here's the fiber for the day. Cotton beanie from Hobium. Okay, let's see, we're still on chapter 6 and Tom had just stopped and talked to Huckleberry. So he's still talking. Good, and he asked him what's a dead cat good for. Good for cure warts with. No, is that so? I know something that's better. I bet you don't. What is it? Why, spunk water. Spunk water? I wouldn't give a darn for spunk water. You wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't, wouldn't you? Did you ever try it? No, I hain't, but Bob Tanner did. Who told you so? Why, he told Jeff Thatcher, and Jeff told Johnny Baker, and Johnny told Jim Hollis, and Jim told Ben Rogers, and Ben told me. There now. They all lie. Shucks. Now you tell me how Bob Tanner done it, Huck. Why, he took it, he dipped his hands in a rotten stump where the rainwater was. And that's what spunk water is. In the daytime? Certainly. With his face to the stump? Yeah, I reckon so. Did he say anything? I don't reckon he did. I don't know. Aha! Talk about trying to cure warts with spunk water. Such a blame fool way as that. Why, that ain't a-gonna do any good. You gotta go all by yourself to the middle of the woods where you know there's a spunk water stump. And just as it's midnight, you back up against the stump and you jam your hands in and you say, barleycorn, engine meal shorts. Spunk water, swaller these warts. And then you walk away quick, 11 steps with your eyes shut, and then you turn around 3 times and you walk home without speaking to anybody, because if you speak to anybody, that'll break the charm. Well, that sounds like a good way, but that ain't the way Bob Tanner done. No, sir. You can bet he didn't, because he's the wartiest boy in this town. And he wouldn't have a wart on him if he knowed how to work spunk water. I took off thousands of warts off of my hand that way, Huck. I play with frogs so much that I've always got considerable many warts. Sometimes I take them off with a bean. Yeah, beans is good. I've done that. Have you? What's your way? Well, you take and you split the bean and cut the warts as to get some blood, and then you put the blood on one piece of the bean, and you take and dig a hole and you bury it about midnight at the crossroads in the dark of the moon, and then you burn up the rest of the bean. You see, that piece that's got the blood on it will keep drawing and drawing, trying to fetch the other piece to it. And so that helps the blood draw the wart, and pretty soon off she comes. Yep, that's it, Huck, that's it. Though when you're burying it, if you say, down bean, off wart, to come no more to bother me, it's better. That's the way Joe Harper does, and he's been almost everywheres. But say, how do you cure 'em with dead cats? Why, you take your cat and you go in the graveyard long about midnight when somebody that's wicked has been buried. And when it's midnight, a devil will come, or maybe 2 or 3, but you can't see 'em. You can only hear something like the wind, or maybe hear 'em talk. And when they're talking that feller away, you heave your cat after 'em and say, devil follow corpse, cat follow devil. Cat follow devil, warts follow cat. I'm done with you. And that'll fetch any wart. Sounds right. Did you ever try it, Huck? No, but old Mother Hopkins told me. Well, I reckon it's so then, because they say she's a witch. Say, why, Tom, I know she is. She witched Pap. Why, Tom, I know she is. Okay. Pap says so his own self. He come along one day, and he see she was a witching him. So he took up a rock, and if she hadn't dodged, he'd have got her. Well, that very night, he rolled off in a shed where he was a-laying drunk, and he broke his arm. Well, that's awful. How did he know she was a-witching him? Lord, Pap can tell easy. Pap says when they keep looking at you right steady, they're a-witching you. Especially if they mumble, because when they mumble, they're saying the Lord's Prayer backwards. Say, Hucky, when you gonna try the cat? Tonight, I reckon. I reckon they'll come after old Hoss Williams tonight. But they buried him Saturday. Didn't they get him Saturday night? Why, how you talk. How could them charms work till midnight, and then it's Sunday? Devils don't slosh around much of a Sunday, I don't reckon. Well, I never thought of that. That's so. Let me go with you. Of course, if you ain't afeard. Afeard, 'tain't likely. Will you meow? Yeah, and you meow back if you get a chance. Last time you kept me a-meowing around till old Hayes went throwing rocks at me and says, "Darn that cat." And so I hove a brick through his window, but don't you tell. I won't. I couldn't meow that night because Annie was watching me, but I'll meow this time. Say, what's that? Nothing but a tick. Where'd you get him? Out in the woods. What'd you take for him? I don't know. I really don't want to sell him. Oh, all right. It's a mighty small tick anyway. Oh, anybody can run a tick down that don't belong to them. I'm satisfied with it. It's good enough tick for me. Sure, there's ticks aplenty. I could have 1,000 of them if I wanted to. Well, why don't you? Because you know mighty well you can't. This is a pretty early tick, I reckon. It's the first one I've seen this year. Say, Huck, I'll give you my tooth for him. Let's see it. Tom got out a bit of paper and carefully unrolled it. Huckleberry viewed it wistfully. The temptation was very strong, and at last he said, "Is it genuine?" Tom lifted his lip and showed the vacancy. "Well, all right," said Huckleberry. "It's a trade." Tom enclosed the tick in the percussion cap box that had lately been the pinch bug's prison, and the boys separated, each feeling wealthier than before. When Tom reached the little isolated frame schoolhouse, he strode in briskly with the manner of one who had come with all honest speed. He hung his hat on a peg and flung himself into a seat with businesslike alacrity. The master, throned on high in his seat, in his great split-bottom armchair, was dozing. Lulled by the drowsy hum of study, the interruption roused him. "Thomas Sawyer!" Tom knew that when his name was pronounced in full, it meant trouble. "Sir, come up here." "Now, sir, why are you late again as usual?" Tom was about to take refuge in a lie when he saw 2 long tails of yellow hair hanging down the back that he recognized by the electric symphony of love, and by that form was the only vacant place on the girl's side of the schoolhouse. He instantly said, "I stopped to talk to Huckleberry Finn." The master's pulse stood still, and he stared helplessly. The buzz of study ceased. The pupils wondered if this foolhardy boy had lost his mind, and the master said, You did what?" "I stopped to talk with Huckleberry Finn." "Thomas Sawyer, that is the most astounding confession I have ever listened to. No mere ferule, F-E-R-U-L-E. It says a rod or flat piece of wood used to punish children, usually by striking them across the hand. Tom's crime is too great for such a small punishment." I guess it would be like a ruler, feral. It's not feral like wild. I might be putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable. You've ever heard that? Oh, Lordy. This is the schoolmaster said, "Take off your jacket." The master's arm performed until it was tired. So he's getting a whooping. and the stock of switches notably diminished. Then the order followed. Now, sir, go and sit with the girls, and let this be a warning to you. And you think Tom's going to mind sitting with the girls? Becky, the love of his life over there. The titter that rippled around the room appeared to abash the boy, but in reality the result was caused rather more by his worshipful awe of his unknown idol and the dread pleasure that lay in his high good fortune. He sat down upon the end of the pine bench, and the girl hitched herself away from him with a toss of her head. Nudges and winks and whispers traversed the room, but Tom sat still. Penny, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Nudges and winks and whispers traversed the room, but Tom sat still with his arms upon the long, low desk before him and seemed to study his book. By and by, attention ceased from him, and the accustomed schoolroom arose upon the dull air once more. Presently, the boy began to steal furtive glances at the girl. She observed it, made a mouth at him, and gave him the back of her head for the space of a minute. When she cautiously faced around again, a peach lay before her. She thrust it away. Tom gently put it back. She thrust it away again, but with less animosity. Tom patiently returned it to its place, and then she let it remain. Tom scrawled on his slate, "Please take it. I got more." The girl glanced at the words, but made no sign. Now the boy began to draw something on the slate, hiding his work with his left hand. For a time the girl refused to notice, but her human curiosity presently began to manifest itself by hardly perceptible signs. The boy worked on, apparently unconscious. The girl made a sort of a non-committal attempt to see it, but the boy did not betray that he was aware of it. At last she gave in and hesitantly whispered, "Let me see it." Tom partly uncovered a dismal caricature of a house, with two gable ends to it and a corkscrew of smoke issuing from the chimney. Then the girl's interest began to fasten itself upon the work, and she forgot everything else. When it was finished, she gazed a moment and then whispered, "It's nice. Make a man." The artist erected a man in the front yard that resembled a derrick. He could have stepped over the house, but the girl was not hypercritical. She was satisfied with the monster and whispered, "It's a beautiful man. Now make me coming along." Tom drew an hourglass with a full moon and straw limbs to it, and armed the spreading fingers with the pretentious fan. The girl said, "It's ever so nice. I wish I could draw." "It's easy," whispered Tom. "I'll learn you." "Oh, will you? When?" "At noon. Do you go home for dinner?" "I'll stay if you will." "Good. That's a whack. What's your name?" "Becky Thatcher." "What's yours?" "Oh, I know. It's Thomas Sawyer." "That's the name they lick me by. I'm Tom when I'm good. You can call me Tom, will you?" "Yeah." Now Tom began to scrawl something on the slate, hiding the words from the girl, but she was not backward this time, and she begged to see, and Tom said, "Oh, it ain't anything." "Yes, it is." "No, it ain't. You don't want to see it." "Yes, I do. Indeed, I do. Please let me." "You'll tell." "No, I won't. Deed and double deed I won't." "You won't tell anybody at all, ever as long as you live?" "No, I won't ever tell anybody. Now let me." "Oh, you don't want to see." "Now that you treat me so, I will see." And she put her small hand upon his, and a little scuffle ensued. Sorry. Scuffle ensued. Tom pretended to resist in earnest, but letting his hand slip by degrees till these words were revealed: "I love you." "Oh, you bad thing!" And she hit his hand a smart rap, but reddened and looked pleased nonetheless. Just at this juncture, the boy felt a slow, fateful grip closing on his ear and a steady lifting impulse. In that vice, he was borne across the house and deposited in his own seat under a peppering fire of giggles from the whole school. Then the master stood over him during a few awful moments and finally moved away to his throne without saying a word. But although Tom's ear tingled, his heart was jubilant. As the school quieted down, Tom made an honest effort to study, but the turmoil within him was too great. In turn, he took his place in the reading class and made a botch of it. And then in the geography class, and turned lakes into mountains, mountains into rivers, rivers into continents, till chaos was come again. Then in the spelling class, and got turned down by a succession of mere baby words, till he brought up at the foot and yielded up the pewter medal which he had worn with ostentation for months. And that's the end of chapter 6. Love you all. To the manager and her little sister, all my kids, and all you folks. I love you. Be sweet.